Hello, let me welcome you to my art studio. Today we're going to be working on some collage, and this is going to be a background collage. And I'm working in my Made journal. It's Flowers, Flowers for a Friend. So that's the book I'm using, and it's a repurposed book that I rescued from the thrift store, and we're going to work right here on this side. So I hope that you are ready for some fun collage. Let's go. And I'm hoping that my head isn't in here as we work together. So first thing I'm going to tell you about this book has fairly thick paper, and I liked it because it was a matte paper instead of being really, really shiny, because things will adhere to it better. And so the supplies I'm going to be using is I have a regular brush that I got from Michael's, and it is for acrylics. I keep my acrylic brushes separate from my watercolor brushes. Another thing we're going to be using is the golden regular gel matte, and I'm going to use this as an adhesive. We're going to be using some wax paper. I got this from the dollar store. And then for the collaging, I'm going to be taking some text. Now, this is another book that I rescued from the thrift store. And I like this because the text is like from somebody hand typed this with a typewriter. And this is one of those church or some other type of an organization where everyone shared their recipes and all the names of the people that shared this recipes with this group. So we're going to be using that because I want to use the text. And I have some tissue paper, and this is kind of a salmon color. I've got some tissue paper that has a stripe to it. I also have another book that I rescued, and it's music note paper. So we're going to be using that in the collage. This is some paper. It's one-sided. It's not cardstock, but it's heavier than regular paper. And this I got from a paper pad. And here's the paper pad. This I bought from Michael's Recollections on sale. And it's a 12 by 12 single-sided. And I just picked out a piece of paper that I thought would work well in a collage background. But this book had a lot of choices that you can use as background collage. And honestly, something like this you could use for the inside covers of a book or even the outside cover. It just felt like it had a really good variety, one-sided, which was fine. You pay more for double-sided, but just a lot of good background collage material. This has metallic. I will caution you, when you're using a product that's matte, it's going to take all the shimmer and shine away from any kind of gold leafing or any kind of a metallic. It'll also take down things like pearlescence or things with mica. So be careful if you're using a product like this that says matte, if you're using it on top of a metallic. But again, I just loved this book for different kinds of backgrounds. So I'm going to be using some of this. I have some left over here. So this page to use for collage, it does have an awful lot of dark, but we can put collage over that. And then whatever is left, if there's darkness that I don't want, then I'm going to be using some Liquitex Professional Gesso. They make a product that is the basic gesso in their basic line instead of the professional line. I love that. But for wanting to really obliterate something this dark, I'm going to go with the professional. So I'm going to open up my matte medium, and oh boy, these can be tough to get open. As well as it glues itself shut. Put that there. and we'll just see where we get. Now, you can see that I've torn some edges, but I still have some straight edges. So when I'm going along this seam here, I don't mind the straight edges, but as I collage in the middle, I'm going to want to use some more of the all torn edges. It just leaves, I think, just a softer look. So I'm just going to tear some of these. Now you can see the core. When you tear towards you, the piece in your hand will not get that white edge. If I would tear this one towards me, then I would get the white edge. So I'm going to do a combination of both. Sometimes it'll have the white edge, sometimes it won't. And again, I'm going to get some of these straight edge pieces for the edges, and then use up these with torn all the way around for the middle. So let's see how far we can get with this. I could be starting with the text. I could be starting with the music notes. It really is up to you, but I'm going to get started with this. So I'm going to be dunking into my gel matte medium, and I'm just going to spread it out with this flat brush. And this paper is so thick that the gel medium is not going to penetrate it. So what I put on top is going to seal the paper for me, but it's not going to help adhere it. So I really want to go generous, that I feel that all the parts of this paper are going to be resting on the gel. And then I'm going to use my brush to smooth it down. You can't be afraid of getting your hands messy. You're going to get messy, but that's part of the joy. And it may take a little more encouragement to get it to lay flat, but if it's not perfectly flat, I'm really not worried about it. The weight of this paper is nice in that it won't wrinkle. So if you're looking to collage and you're concerned about getting wrinkles in your collage, then you're going to want to use a heavier paper. I don't mind if I get wrinkles, because that to me just adds another type of texture. And I like texture in my collages. So I'm okay with that if that happens. Now you can see where this edge has been torn, that some of the dark comes through. That's perfectly fine with me. I like it just fine. So I don't want to completely cover my journal page with this paper, but I want to have at least 3. I like to work in odd numbers. I like to work in 3s or 5s. So I want at least 3. So I'm going to get started with 3. I may add more, don't know. I don't have a specific plan for a layout. I'm just getting myself a background that I can work on top of. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to grab the music note paper. So I'm just going to, again, take any sheet. I do look at the words because I don't want to ever have some type of a word that's offensive. Now, this is supposed to be for a children's choir, so I doubt I'm going to run into it. But the same principle. If there's a corner piece that I can use, I probably would go with this corner piece because there's less white to use in a corner, or the edges along the edge. And then the middle, more for the middle. So let's give this a tear. And I'm going to go ahead and put that right up here in this corner. I think that will be a nice place for this. And this paper is heavy enough that it will cover up this dark area of my journal. So let's put this guy up here. And if it's not perfect, I am not worried. It is enough. Don't strive for perfection. All you're going to do is drive yourself crazy. Jane Davenport is the one who said, as long as my art doesn't irritate me, or something like that, annoy me, that's what it was. And I agree with that completely. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to go ahead and use it in this corner, and it's going to be upside down. That's fine. That's fine. It's just for visual interest. Oh, you're working on top of this. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Well, what's the point if you're covering stuff up? Well, I know it's there, and it adds visual interest as you have pieces kind of coming and going on your collage. That just makes it more interesting. When people look at your collage, they're going to wonder, ooh, I see this over here. Ooh, I see that over there. And it's all interest, all visual interest, which I love. Okay, more music note paper. We've got 2. Let's put at least 1 more, and we've got 2 on the edge. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and tear this edge off, and I'm going to put this one. I don't tend to work on angles. I either go with horizontal or vertical. So I'm going to put this one right in the middle, favoring a little bit more to the left since I have the other 2 pieces on the right. And I'm going to just put this on. And I realize I'm probably going bigger than the piece that I'm holding in my hand, and that's fine. So I'm going to just work that over here and lay it down. I do concentrate on the edges because that'll be the first place that it wants to lift, is the edges. So on she goes. So I've got 3 pieces of music note paper. I'm going to go ahead. I haven't put the pink paper away. I haven't put the music note paper away, but I'm going to add now some text. Now we've got some text here, and I could just leave that and let that be part of the picture. We'll just see how it goes. So now, oh, sorry, I'm reaching. So here we've got some text that was already tore, and I think, move this clip, and I think I'm going to just add that guy right there. Maybe not. Audition your pieces. See what you think. Yeah, I realize that's going to be covered, but that's okay. On she goes. Now, some people like to collage with really small pieces, sizes like postage stamps. The look can be absolutely beautiful. This particular piece, I'm going with larger pieces. And that's because it's going to be the background. If it was all teeny tiny pieces like a intricate mosaic, well then that would be more of a foreground instead of a background. But there are no rules. You do you. Do what you want. Okay, let's get another piece of text. So I'm digging in my book here. You can see in the corner, I was testing a punch that was at the same thrift store. I don't know if you can see the little stars, but I was testing a punch when I was looking at this. So, okay, here we go. Manhattan Christian Reformed Church in Manhattan, Montana. How this ever ended up in a Michigan thrift store, I have no idea. And the first edition was 1959, and the second edition was 1973. So she's vintage, but we're going to use her. There are some colored papers in here, but I think I'm just going to stick with the white for today. So I'm going to just tear out a good sized piece, set my book aside, and let's get some pieces going. This is a nice corner piece, so I think I'm going to stick that right up in that corner. I think that will be good. Again, I had no prior plan, obviously. I'm just going with my gut and where I think things will look nice. And if I cover up something else, that's okay. So be it. It's my journal. It's my art. As long as I'm happy. And I hope that you're happy too when you see the end results. On she goes. Now this is getting fairly wet, but you can see so far I have, if any, minimal buckling, and I certainly don't have it bubbling up, but this is 2 sheets that I glued together. So we're working on double. Okay, so I've got text here, text here. I think I'm going to work on some text here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and tear from an edge and just go and fill it in right there. And then I pretty well, other than here, I have my edges covered. And you can see how much of this dark background that we've gotten covered. So that's great. And we haven't been working on this too long. This is going along at least, well, I'm having fun. I hope you are. But as I'm working, time might be flying, but I really don't think this has taken us too long. Nah. Okay, so I lost a couple of pieces of the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and grab another piece of that and see where I can maybe put some of this pink. I think I'll put some right here. Hope you can see that. Right up here. And there she goes. Whoops. You can see you get a little bit of wiggle room. When you set it down, it's not an automatic stick. That's one of the reasons why I'm using gel medium instead of a glue stick. Now, some people will tell you glue sticks don't stick. Yeah, they do. It just depends on the glue stick you buy, and sometime we can talk about that. Here's another little piece that I think would look great right here. What do you think? I wish I could hear your voices. I wish I could hear what you're thinking as you're watching me put this collage together. Okay, here is a non-torn edge. I'm going to tear it. I don't want that hard edge in the middle of my collage. And down she goes. Looking good, looking good. So I've got a space here, a space here, and a space here that all need something of collage, in my opinion. Oh, I've got some tissue paper. Let's see. I've got this striped tissue paper. And, you know, save things like this. I know it's kind of noisy. I'm sorry. But I'm going to go ahead and just tear this. It already has some little holes in it here and there. That's fine. It doesn't bother me in the least. And here's a sharp edge and a sharp edge. So I'm going to go ahead, tear that down, and tear that down. And no, I am not saving these little scraps. If I saved scraps that size, I would not have any room to store anything else. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on this dark spot. Maybe up here. Yeah. It's going to show some of this through, but that's okay. And whoop, picking it up. So that means not enough gel medium underneath. Now, if this is wrinkling, it's not a problem. It's just fine. Smooth that down. Okay, let's get a piece of the other tissue that I thought was kind of a color that would be happy with these other pieces. And I'm going to give this a tear from the edge. Now this just tore very small, but that's all right. Now you can see it's a corner piece, but I only want the edge to be straight there. So I'm going to go ahead and tear just this bottom off. And I'm not using a tear ruler. I don't want anything that precision. I got some stuck to my thumb. Well, welcome to the world of gel medium. Everything sticks. So let's tuck this guy in here. And down she goes. I like that color mixed with these. I think it looks great. I'm going to get another piece of that. Let's get some more. Okay. So where did I tear? I tore from here. I'm going to go right in and tear myself another piece. Got a straight edge and I've got an area right here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this one in right here. And we'll see where it goes. Now the wrinkles that you might be seeing is a result of me gluing those two pieces together, the two pages of the book together to make my paper just a little bit hardier. And again, doesn't bother me in the least. I'll work right on top of it. It's all fine. Okay, so we've got these two pieces fairly close together. So even though I don't have an empty spot here, I'm going to get another piece. Don't know why I keep throwing it so far away. Just a little piece. Yeah, that's fine. Kind of looks like Kentucky. And let's get this right in here. Yeah, that's good. Down she goes. All right. I'm liking this so far. Now I could just stop here and I could leave these two spaces, but I've got plenty of paper. I'm going to look again. Okay, so I've got music, music, music. I've got text, text, text. I've got pink, 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 and a little pink showing there. So really almost anything could go in this spot and this spot. I think I'm going to go ahead with the striped tissue because I only put one piece of that. So let's get this crinkly striped one back. Now this might be a bit big, but we can tear it down. And again, I'm either going to have the stripes going up and down or the stripes going sideways, but not, I have a hard time in my mind resolving those crooked pieces. And it almost looks like, I don't know, like the boat is tipping over or something to me. Now, I have seen other artists use their collage pieces in that catty corner way, and it's beautiful. So, you know, don't go by me. And we've covered up now all of the background, and we just have the stripes here in the middle. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of stripe here. And it doesn't take much to just kind of balance out a look. And it's sheer enough that I won't be obliterating the music notes underneath. So let's get this guy down. And there. That looks good. Okay, what do you think? I think this looks great. I have more light around the edges, a little bit darker in the middle, and that doesn't bother me. Now, this stuff is expensive, so I am going to be scraping as much out of my brush back into the jar as I can, and this explains why I have my lid want to stick. And I have a little cup here of water. Down it goes because that stuff will dry like cement. Now, people that live in drier climates, they'll put a piece of plastic or some wax paper before the lid, but we've got enough humidity here in Michigan that I can just go ahead and put the lid on. But I do, when I'm not using it, want to put the lid on because this stuff will just get thicker and thicker. Ugh, we don't need that. Okay, so we're done with the scraps for now, at least for now. This is wet. It still looks shiny to you, I'm sure. So I want to now soften this. And I don't want it to look like paper was just slapped down. So here's where my Liquitex is going to come in. I'm going to give her a shake. Any acrylic liquids are going to need a shake. And I am just going to use my finger, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop, and I'm dropping along some of the seam lines where two different types of paper match. And maybe this will be enough. Maybe I'll need some more. I don't know. But can you see I've just like placed it around. And while this is wet, I'm using acrylic product on top of acrylic. So let them go ahead and blend. And I'm just going to take my finger and kind of blend out these harder edges, because this is going to sort of marry all these pieces together and add some more light back in, but just avoiding those harsh transitions from one piece to another. Now you might say, oh, well, you know, you're covering up. Well, one thing, gesso dries more clear than what you see as it's going down. So I'm not worried about obliterating the papers underneath. And yeah, some of it might be completely covered with gesso, but you'll still know it's there. You will definitely know it's there. And I'm just going along these edges and kind of blurring them out so that the pieces are becoming one. So instead of having kind of a broken up page, I'm going to be having a more unified page. And again, this is a background. Diane Reevely always says a background is a background because it's the background. And what the point is it's not your foreground. So you don't want it to do all the talking. You don't want it to be in conflict with whatever we're going to put on top. So and I just keep blending. I'm going to pick up some extra there, bring it up here. And how do I know where to go? Just kind of intuitive, just kind of what looks good to me. I hope it looks good to you. But again, this is my journal, and it's whatever I want. And if I end up deciding I've made a terrible mistake and I don't like what I created, all I have to do is turn the page. All I'm out is a little bit of time and some leftover papers. Okay, you can see this piece of tissue lifted a little bit. I'm just going to put a little gesso underneath and flip it back up, and that will adhere it. I would never use gesso to adhere an entire page, but I do know that there are people who use a heavy bodied gesso that you can't pour, but is more like the gel matte medium. And they do use that clear gesso to put down their collage pieces. And, you know, their journals are years old and they've used that technique. So whatever works for you. And there. Okay. I'm liking this real well. Just going to reach over, grab a piece of paper towel. Now, everything on here is wet. So to do art on top of it, I would either need to leave this dry overnight, which is what I would normally do if I wasn't creating this video. But what I'm going to do is I've got some wax paper from the dollar store, just plain old wax paper. I'm going to pull off a piece about the size of my journal page, and I can always fold it in. And I do reuse these wax paper sheets, but what this is going to do is it's going to keep my work from sticking to this page, and yet it's going to let enough air in that this will eventually dry. So down it goes. And then I have here a similar page that I worked. And so I can continue to work here and you'll be able to see what my next step will be. So again, I don't have anything planned. I'm just enjoying myself. I'm just relaxing. And I hope you are too. I hope you've been having some crafting time. And I'm just taking these clips and I'm clipping this down so that my page doesn't want to jump up after me. Wouldn't hurt to have another clip here. And then I'm going to get some materials to work on the top. So maybe you saw my head, don't know, but I'm right here. Not too far away. And I'm grabbing some, what I call art crayons. These are my Stabilo Woodies. And I honestly think that they were designed for children. But what they are is they work like a crayon. So they'll write on top of just about any medium you have. And they're activated with water. So I can activate them once I get my drawing or whatever I'm going to do on here completed. I have another set. Now these are the Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. Work about the same. Yeah, they've got a little bit of a different delivery system, but they're just, I'm going to set these here. They're just a crayon, and you can work it. You can kind of manipulate it, kind of smudge it, and then you activate it with water. So it ends up looking kind of like a watercolor. So a lot of fun. I like using these crayons. So these, again, these are the Tim Holtz Distress crayons. They come in a lot of different sets, a lot of different colors. And then I've got my Stabilo Woodies that we're going to be using. Okay, so what do I feel like? What's on my mind? Well, let's get a pencil. And I know you may not be able to see this too well, but I think you'll be able to see it some. And I think what I'd like to do is maybe a lady, and let some of these elements be her dress. I think that could be awfully pretty. Or maybe I'll just make a face and let the background show through. I think that's what I'll go with. I'm gonna go ahead and start with a face. So I'm just gonna, and I'm holding the pencil way at the back because I don't want exact lines, but I'm just gonna go ahead and draw an oval. And, you know, again, not perfect, nothing's perfect. And then get my guidelines in of where I'm going to put the features. And then bring this edge in a little bit. Bring this edge in at the eyes. And then let's lay in some eyes. The eyes are often what kind of dictates what the rest of the face is going to be for me. And again, I'm going to tell you right now, no, even on the same head, no two human eyes are the same. So I'm not looking for perfection. Now, halfway between the eyes and the chin is going to be where your nose is. So that's about right here. So I'm just going to make a C and a C and then a U shape. And there's going to be my nose. And then about halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin. So where is that chin? There we go. I'm going to put the mouth. So I make a swing up, bring down. And you know, if you're interested, put it in the comments. Julie, I'd like to have a more detailed tutorial on how you make a face. Sure, put it in the comments and I'd be happy to show you that. But maybe, oh, there's 1,000 videos, and there are, on making faces. You know, we can work on something else. Okay, so I'm going to just lay in the irises. And again, these are just basic landmarks. Maybe my nose will be a little higher. Maybe, who knows? Nobody knows. I'm going to put her throat in. And maybe she's kind of on the edge here. And then bring out a shoulder and a shoulder. Okay. And then we'll work on her hair later. So again, this is just a basic outline. And you know, you can erase on top of these products. So any lines that are stray that you feel like, you know, you just wish weren't there, just erase them. Start over. No problem. No problem at all. I don't mind the sketchiness of the drawing to show through though. I just think it shows the handmade nature of it all. All right. So I'm going to start with this. It's kind of a basic color. These don't really have a color name on them, but this is kind of a peach color. And so I'm going to go ahead and kind of block in where I want some of this color to be. Because again, I'm going to water activate it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay in some cheeks here. And like watercolor, these are a little bit transparent. So we're going to see some of the collage come right through. Maybe put some here on her chin. And then I need some shadow color. So for a shadow color, I'm going to use blue. And you're probably thinking, what in the world? Oh no, I like color in my faces. We are people of color. So our faces reflect the clothes around us. Our faces reflect our hair. So maybe I'm going to pick out a little bit of a hairline for her. And I think I'm going to go with kind of maybe a side part, but this will just be the shadow of her hair on her face. She's going to have long hair, so I'm not putting ears in. I'm going to go ahead and lay in a little of this shadow color on her throat, where I believe there'd be a bit of a shadow, and kind of the structure of her throat. And let's go with, now this is an orange. I'm not even sure. Yeah, it's a little different than that peach color. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this in around the edge and along the sides of her nose here. And maybe I'll go ahead and just put a little of this in her lip. And now I'm going to grab a little bit of brown for maybe the shadow of her eyelids. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing here. A little bit more here. The shadow of the dip under your nose at the Cupid's bow. Maybe a little here. I don't want her to have a mustache, but you know, hey, we shall see. We shall see. Okay. Now, the irises. You know, our irises not only reflect the color of our iris, but they reflect what's around us. So I'm going to add some of the colors I've already added. I've got this blue, so I'm going to add a little bit of this blue in both eyes. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little touch of this orange that we've got going on here. And maybe her eye color is kind of a green or maybe a hazel. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of this in here. And this is what can really give your eye some spark and some interest. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this darker blue in the middle. Now this isn't her final eye color, but put maybe a little bit shadowing in here. Okay, let's get the water going. Oh, maybe I'll add some lip color. There is, in the Distress crayons, this kind of a, I don't know, maybe a magenta or a type of a purple. And I do think that Tim Holtz does, but I don't see the name of this color. If this is it, it's not English and I can't pronounce it. So, no idea. Doesn't matter. Use what you have. I can see that this crayon has shrunk quite a bit. So I don't know, maybe the lid wasn't on tight, but let's see if we can, yeah, we can get some color. I'm going to put a little more on the top than the bottom because our top lid is always a little bit darker than the bottom. All right, now here's where I'm going to start using my watercolor brushes. So I've got some paper towel here so I can blot off my brush, and I'm going to grab one of my watercolor brushes, and this is a Grumbacher 8 round. Got my water here, and I'm just going to go to town. And I've got plenty of water on this brush. And let's start activating this color. Now, some of the color is going to be less transparent. Some of the color is going to be more transparent. And it all works fine. I'm dragging my brush right now through the peaches and the oranges, because if I just drag it across all the colors, you're just going to end up with mud. So I'm just activating kind of the peach and the brown, the colors that would more make up her skin. And then we've got the brown here over the top of her eye. I like that. Same here. I'm going to go ahead and activate that brown. And now I'm going to go ahead and clean my brush. All right. I didn't really put any of the peach or the orange in her throat, but I'm going to go ahead and add some of that. And let's dive into this. And you can see, even though I'm working these colors, I haven't lost my under paper. You know, I haven't lost the collage underneath. All right, so I've rinsed my brush out. There's no color in it. Now I'm going to start heading into these blues. So I've got this blue up here, and it's going to mix and blend a little bit, and that's okay. But I just didn't want the whole face to be mud color. I'm going to go ahead and work on this darker shadow on the sides of her nose. You know, our nose really doesn't have harsh lines. It's pretty much made up of shadows. We kind of lost some of the peach color in here, so I'm just dragging out the combination of the blue and the orange, and it's all good. All good. Under this eye, I've still got quite a bit of orange pigment up here, so I'm going to just drag it around, bring it down the nose. Let's get these nostrils, and then the brown for the actual nostrils themselves. I'm rinsing my brush out. I'm going to go ahead and start on this throat. So I'm just going to activate this peach color here that I put down. It's really not very pigmented, but that's okay. And now I'm going to work on the rest of her throat here in the shadow parts, under her chin and along the kind of muscular structure of the throat. And see, I can still see the text here, and that's all fine. the fact that I'm working on top of a collage has not been lost because I'm doing this work on top. Okay, I've rinsed my brush out really good, and I'm heading into the berry color of her lip color. And it may not be perfection. I'm not looking for perfection. She's going to be kind of abstract-y. Just a suggestion. Drying my brush off a little bit because I'm getting a little bit of pooling here of the pigment. And then she got a little out of control, but I'm going to just lift this off with my dry brush so that her lips aren't quite so crazy. Rinse. And then I'm going to add this little shadow that's under her lips color. Once this is dry, I can still add more pigment and work it again. But when it's dry, when I get it wet, it will be reactivated. So there we have it. Okay, while this works on drying, I'm going to go ahead and think about her hair. What kind of hair do I want? Or you know what? Well, I was going to say I could work on her irises, but it's all wet all the way around. So I'm just going to let that be and let the white of her eyes stay white and let the skin colors not blend into the eyeball themselves. Okay, how about hair? I like to really let the hair go. I like to make it wild, and I guess my own hair is kind of wild. I have to decide, do I want to pick a hair color or do I want to pick my own idea? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a hair color. And you know what? Let's go bold. This is black. And I'm going to go ahead and just start with some hair that's black. And I'm just going to add her long hair. We'll make it maybe shoulder length. What do you think? Maybe some going behind, some going in front. But here we're starting with some hair. I think the hair always makes the face look just a little bit more believable, doesn't it? I think so. Okay, so when you think about black hair, it's always got a lot of colors in it. So I'm going to go ahead and add some brown to her hair. And I'm not obliterating all of the light underneath. And when I activate this, I'll leave some that could be kind of representing the shine in her hair. I always think that dark hair can reflect a bit of blue. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of blue in her hair. And there we go. And what else? Let's see. Maybe a little bit of yellow can be a bit of the shine or maybe reflection of what's around her. So you can see I'm just adding all kinds of color to her black hair. And yet I still think it's going to read, if not black, a dark shade. Going back to my round brush into the water, fairly wet. And I'm going to activate this with my brush going with the lines of the hair. So I'm just going to follow the hair. You can see how quickly the black activates, very highly pigmented. And here around her face, a little more water. Again, I'm rinsing because I don't want to lose the individual colors and just create mud. So that's why I'm rinsing my brush. And if I lost all of the white or the light of the background, I can always add it in later. Not a problem. Don't let anything be a problem. There's nothing we can't fix. There's nothing we can't... Worst case scenario, turn the page. Nothing to worry about. What do you think? What do you think? I like her. adding some individual strands at the bottom. I think she's looking great. Looking great. Okay, I think that it's dried enough around her irises that I'm going to go ahead and activate the irises and all the colors within. Because as I say, your eyes reflect what you're looking at and what's around you. So they're never just a stagnant single color. You can see the darker colors that have created the shadows. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more, not black. Ooh, that's so strong. A little bit of the brown and just kind of indicate her nostrils and a little bit of that Cupid's bow. And I'm not going to activate it now. I can activate it tomorrow. I can activate it anytime. But all of this is wet. So I have two choices. I can let this dry overnight, and you will find that a lot of what we do is dry time. Or I can go ahead with my heat tool, and I have it right here, and I can go ahead and dry it. So I'm going to plug this puppy in, and we're going to give it a dry. Now I have a cup of coffee here that I would rather not spill all over my collage, pardon the arm, but it's amazing that I didn't use it to rinse my brush. I'm going to go ahead and dry it, and let's see. Hopefully this isn't too loud, and it shouldn't take too long. But unlike watercolor paper that will absorb some of this pigment, this is pretty much going to sit on top because of the gel medium. But it doesn't matter. I still like the look. I hope you do too. And we're going to be adding some more detail to her. Now, when I started this project with you, I was not planning on making a face, but I do like to do faces in my work. I think they're fun. It's relaxing. I enjoy it. It's not a stress for me. Maybe you would have rather turned this into a landscape. Go for it. Maybe you looked in it and you saw a bird and you wanted to enhance everything about a bird. Again, wonderful. Now I am keeping my heat tool moving, and the reason for that is I don't want to burn the gel medium that's under here, and it will burn. So I keep my heat tool moving so that I don't overheat any of the matte medium underneath. Because once that bubbles and burns, there's no rescuing it. Now, you know, maybe it isn't harmful to your picture and you're okay with it, but I would just rather not take a chance on burning this up. So I'm going ahead and letting it get pretty dry. Now, in some cases, you may say, well, you can dry the back. Being that it's 2 pages, I don't really think it would be effective. It may warm it up, but I don't think it would take away the hydration that we've got on here with the water. So, switching up my hands, and I can see the shiny places that are still a little bit damp. Remember, underneath is matte medium, and it is matte, so if it's shiny, it's wet. So I want to dry it off as best I can, because I think what I'm going to do underneath my heat tool, what I'm going to do on top of my collage is some colored pencil. What do you think of that idea? Okay, how are we doing? Still a little bit wet. Not bad, but a little bit. I don't want to drag my colored pencils through the water though. You know, I don't know if it would hurt them or not. It's just one of those things I'm not going to risk. All right, let's call that dry. Whew, thank you, goodbye. That is noisy. I want to be careful because the tip of this is warm. So if I set it here on the floor, I don't want to burn my carpet. All right, let's grab some colored pencils. So hang on, everything is close here in my little art corner of the world. And I'm just grabbing my Prisma colored pencils. Here we go. Prismacolor pencils. I like Prismacolor. There are a lot of other brands. Use whatever you have. And this is a set of 72. And I don't think I've lost any of them yet. And I certainly know that I haven't completely finished them up. All right, so I'm going to start with the eyes. And they seem pretty dry. So the inner corners or the inner parts of our eye are kind of a red color, and I don't really have any red going on, but I do have peach and coral. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little of that to the corner of each eye, and then I'm going to just run that right along the waterline of your eye, just like that. And I think already her eyes look more alive. And then, and I mean, I have multiple layers here. So if you hear me, it's because I'm reaching in for more layers. All right. What about the area around her eye? I'm going to pick, this color is called Burnt Ochre. Let's see what that does. Yeah, I think that's nice for her upper lid. We may add some cosmetics and we may change the color, but for now, I think that's good. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to use the same color and add just a little more shadow color around the shadow that would be of her nose. And you can still see the lines that I had with the pencil that are kind of defining her nose, and that's fine. I'm not going to do anything about that. I think I'm going to add a little of this here under her nose and a little more under her bottom lip. And we'll see. Now, what color do I have that kind of matches that lipstick color? Let's see. It's kind of a, I don't know. It's kind of a purpley color. Crimson Lake. I think that's going to be too red. We want something that's a little more in the purple family. This is called Dark Purple. Let's give it a shot. The barrel kind of matches, so we'll see where we go. I got nothing to lose. I'm going to go ahead and define the upper lip from the lower lip, and I'm going to give it just a little curve up. And you can see I'm working on some wrinkles just to give her a bit of a smile. And now I'm going to define the upper lip and the bottom lip. And there. And again, I want to bring this corner up just a little. And now the upper lip is always a little bit darker than the lower lip. So I'm only going to color in the edge of this lower lip and let the rest just kind of shine through. Maybe I'll just add a little color here, but not much. Not using a heavy hand like I am for this upper lip. Okay. That looks good. I love that lip color. I really do. All right, so this is a girl that likes her cosmetics. So this is dark brown, and you can see it needs sharpening, but I think we're okay. And I'm going to give her some eyeliner. I'm not using black. Black can come off awfully harsh. So I'm just going with a light, well, it's not a light brown, but a lighter color than black would be. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in her eyebrows. So I think her eyebrow color is going to be a little bit darker. This is black. And remember, her hair is black. So I'm going to work with her eyebrow. And normally your eyebrow starts at the corner of your eye. And I'm just going to do it in short strokes like eyebrows would be made out of. Little strokes of hair. Same over here. I'm just working in, not drawing it in, but using little short strokes. And they're not going to be the same. I'm not worried. They're just fine. Just fine. There. Well done. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and give her just a suggestion of eyelashes. I think you can go a little bit overboard with eyelashes, kind of easy. So I just want to be careful and just give her a suggestion of some glamorous eyelashes. But I'm not going to put spiders over her whole eye. Besides, your eyelashes are kind of coming straight at you. I mean, now we have so many people that wear artificial eyelashes that you kind of get that whole thing. But again, when I try to draw that in, I end up with just spiders. Now, the outer rim of her eye, our irises generally do have kind of a one color right around the edge. So I'm just adding this blue, and it's similar to the blue I used in her face, just around that edge to define that edge. And now there is always a shadow from your eyelid across your eye. And it's what makes your eye kind of have roundness, your eyeball, and it keeps your eye from looking so flat. So I'm going to add just a little bit of gray right over the whole eye, and then create that little bit of a roundness. Even you can add it to the corner of her eye, where the eye goes back. And see, it kind of makes her eyes look a little bit more, I don't know, alive. All right, now, her hair. Right now, to me, her hair looks a little bit like a skull cap. I'm going to go ahead with this gray that I used to put the shadow in of her eye, and I'm going to add some individual strands of hair. And I just think this is what can make hair look more like hair. And I'm just going from the hair line and just bringing it out a little bit further, just to add some little strands to give the suggestion that her hair is made up of strands, not of just a solid cap or hat. Yeah, I like that just fine. Yeah, good, good. Maybe she was in the wind a little bit. Wonderful. All right, now, a lot of people use the Prismacolor white to add highlights. I've never had my Prismacolor, I'm just drawing it here on the wax paper. I've never been able to really create, yeah, see, I never can create a good highlight with this. I don't know how they do it. I'm going to go ahead, and I've got a white gel pen. Where is it, Julie? It's here. I know it's here. Let's see. I also have some white acrylic Sharpie markers that I could use, but if I can find that gel pen, that would make me the most happy. Well, I'm not going to make you wait too long while I search for it, but I'm standing up, so I mean business. Ah, there she is. I just had to stand up. So I'm going to take this gel pen and see if I can add, yeah, a little sparkle to her eye. And I'm just going to drag it out. Put the sparkle in, drag it out. Let's do it again. And I'm going right across that iris the way I think a shine would be. And you want that shine to be the same on both sides. And then I'm going to add a dot right in her pupil. And that's going to give her pupil dimension. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of white on the top of her iris. Just kind of a shine. Now, same with her lips. She needs some shine. So I'm going to add just a few dots here. Little shine, and bottom lip, even more shine. She's got some pretty lip gloss going on, and it just kind of gives her some life. I just love it. There we go. And the white is going to mix a little bit with the color underneath that pigment, and it doesn't bother me. But just take your pen and do it on a piece of paper towel or a plain piece of paper, and then you can kind of clean that up again. All right, so I'm going to add a little more shine here because it lifted up the pigment, and so it kind of vanished a little bit. That's okay. Just going to add a little more here and there, here and there. pretty. I think she looks pretty. Now I'm going to add just a few strands of the white in her hair. And they're not going to show up tremendously. And there's still a little bit of dampness going on. So my pen is going to kind of skip here and there. But it's all right. Enough is going on. Maybe you can't see it, but I can. Hey, how does it look? I think it looks good enough to sign. Let's grab my black Sharpie. Sign her up. And I hope you enjoyed this little collage visit. If you did like it, I hope you support my channel by hitting the like button and subscribing, ring the bell, and you'll be notified of my next video. And that's where I'll see you at my next video. Thanks.